You telling your child, oh, you're a boy, you're a girl. This is a child. This is a free spirit that has not learned any of that. And so you force it on them. So cisness is the wound. Cisness is the delusion. Cisness is the lie. Cisness is the place of pain. Transness is the healing. Transness is the growth. Transness is the truth. Transness is what we actually are. We are fluid. We are 70% water. We are God. God is change. God is trans. We are trans. You are forcing your kids to be boys and girls. We're saying, be whatever you are, baby.
Well, that was a whole lot of nonsense packed into one incoherent mishmash of dribble from a bearded dude with pink and blue hair, dangling earrings, and nail polish. But certainly, take the word of a guy who says, we are God and God is trans. That says it all. We are God, as in me. Me is God. That's how trans like to roll, apparently. Now, let's continue the journey to see what other stories are trending left. And we welcome another trans activist who claims if conservatives were actually against transing the kids, they would loudly support puberty blockers for children. Yes, let's attempt to follow the logic together.
The thing that gets me about the anti-trans conservative rhetoric around like puberty blockers for trans kids is that if they really did care about making sure children weren't being mutilated or weren't being like coerced, they would be the #1 advocates for puberty blockers, because forcing somebody to go through a puberty with a dominant hormone that is misaligned with your actual gender is a forced mutilation by conservative standards. So you would think that they would be the #1 advocates for blockers and go, oh my gosh, yeah, why don't we like put a pause on this so that way you can decide and like in a couple years see how you feel. Like, I just wish they would shut up.
I wish you would do the same. And anyone who drinks Fiji water, pretty much just move on. Now, what his logic there is saying that what God gave us in our biology, we can't have that, because biologically a girl would go through puberty, a boy would go through puberty, but hey, it's all about feelings and what we care about. So if that involves us not wanting to go through such things, you cannot make us go through such things. Yes, the conservatives are the ones thinking you are not, friend. But we're just getting started. So let's head across the pond where we can see how the trans the kids agenda may be ruining children for life, but at least it's making families famous. This next boy has been treated like a girl for at least 2 years, and the reward is apparently 3.3 million TikTok followers and more than 100 million likes. So you wonder what the cost of a child is worth? Well, here's your answer.
Hey guys, it's been 2 years since I changed to Edie.
Are we doing a good job?
Yeah.
If other people are watching this and they're at the beginning of their journey, what advice would you have for them?
Try and tell people instead of just waiting till you're older.
What would you say is the #1 difference?
They treat me like a girl now, not like a boy that wants to be a girl now.
We just want to say thank you to everybody who has been leaving comments and following us over the last 2 years on this journey.
Why do we use our children so much? Why is that grown man using his son to get TikTok followers and likes from complete strangers and probably a lot of bots? What is wrong with him that made him allow his young child to quote unquote transition? Now you may be saying, Katie, these are just confused people who clearly need help. And while I agree, this next video showcases a self-proclaimed medical school professional who asserts gender is construct because, well, drugs and surgery can make you look like anyone you want to be. So obviously that makes it a natural thing.
I am a medical school professor specializing in molecular biology. I also have an extensive background in gender studies and queer studies. The idea of sex as an immutable characteristic is a turf talking point. It's been around for decades, and it's been weaponized against trans women in particular in the fashion of, oh, but you will always be male and therefore invading female spaces. Sex as it pertains to humans is a construct. It is a set of spectrum variables with bimodal distribution that we draw an arbitrary set of boundaries around into 2 broad categories, but they are not immutable characteristics. Almost all of those characteristics can be changed through hormones or through surgery.
Whoa, back up, everyone. Thousands of years of actual human beings existing on this earth. Everyone back away, because we have on our hands a professional, a professor of this, and queer studies and gender studies, and all bow down to what is being said by that person, because that person knows everything. And you, human being out there, well, you know nothing. Now, finally, we're going to head back to the classroom to wrap things up with a lesson for all you bigots out there. So, without further ado, here are your top 5 tips to being a trans ally in the classroom. Now, just a heads up, there will not be a quiz afterward.
With all the anti-trans legislation and rhetoric going out there, I wanted to go ahead and share my 5 tips on how to be a better trans ally in the classroom. Number 1, and hopefully you're already doing this, shut down transphobic jokes when they happen in the classroom, even if they don't seem like a big deal. Number 2, hopefully you're already asking students for their pronouns and respecting any new names or pronouns that they're giving you, but if you're not asking them when and where it's safe to share them, make sure that you're doing that. Tip number 3, if the student is okay with the name and pronouns being shared with other staff members and used by other staff members, correct them when they use the wrong name or misgender the student. Tip number 4, make sure that when you are creating problems for classwork or homework that you include diverse characters. For example, whenever I write math problems, I will go in and change some of the characters so that they have what look like maybe traditionally female names but use he, him pronouns, or some characters that have they, them pronouns. And finally, tip number 5, don't forget this one, this is super important. If the student is out with their name or pronouns in your classroom, please make sure to write it on your subnotes. Nothing is worse than a kid who usually is safe and comfortable in your room being misgendered or dead named by your substitute teacher, who, by the way, didn't mean to and now feels awful.
Number 6, because I can count past 5, ignore everything that was just said, especially number 5 about the subnotes. I was a substitute teacher, and guess what? If you call the person by the person's name, everything is okay. And if you actually just go there to teach students the subject matter that you are assigned to teach them, everyone is okay and everyone feels safe. But thankfully, that's going to wrap up this segment. Of course, you can be sure there will be plenty more craziness next week. And until then, please stay sane, America.